Welcome back. We're headed out to Lake Mead now, through what used to be a boat launch in a bay. Now the only thing that's left is chapped earth and a bunch of trash from years of neglect and abuse. And for those of you that enjoyed the before and after video, thank you for all the support. I like making them and I plan to do more, but we're going to mix it up today, and I'm going to go out looking for a bunch of boats on an Easter egg hunt of stuff left around Lake Mead. And I won't spoil the fun, but in fact, this will be one of the bays I do a before and after of, as we used to leave with our kayak through this channel to get out to the lake. On the right, you're going to see the high water level up there. Let's take a look at the water level report for August 1st, 2022. Lake Mead is showing 27% full. The content, which is given in 1,000 acre feet, is 7,041. The elevation is at 1,040.92 feet above sea level, and the 7-day release is showing 11,600 cubic feet per second. We're going to put up the numbers from last month's video in July so you can compare, and you can pause it here if you want to take a closer look. But even after the flooding, we are in fact down about 2 feet. So we're going to head out into this what used to be a bay, but now it's just a dried up trash land. Here you'll get an idea of some of the stuff that was left or discarded down here. Lots of steel, concrete, buoys, and a whole lot of really large tires. Here's a panorama of the ever-decreasing shoreline, and you can see it's just filled with trash and washed up gunk from years and years of being underwater. In the background, you're going to notice a water sampling tower. We're going to head in that direction. And just to the right of that, you'll notice Lake Mead intake number 1, which I pointed out last video, now above water, non-functional. So let's head over in that direction. And here we are at the sample tower now behind the water treatment plant. It's hard to believe that that first straw on the left was actually underwater at some point. And as you look down, you can see they terminate at different lengths, but most are above water now. So right underneath the tower is our first Easter egg boat wreck. And this one's easy to find mainly because the tower serves as a landmark. Let's take a closer look. And this one is just completely filled with gravel. It looks like to me it may have been sitting on the shore getting lapped by the waves and filled with gravel for quite some time. And you can see the engine is still intact, and it looks in decent shape actually. A lot of people were also asking if maybe you could get some markings off these boats in case people were looking for them. I'm pretty sure most of the folks know where these boats are and they don't want them anymore, but just in case I figured I'd still do it. This one has an AIS sticker from 2018. We're going to presume that was the last time it was functional then. And here you can see the number 028908. And I know from experience with the kayak that these will be tied to an address or perhaps a credit card number. And I'm not a boat guy, but I do know about engines, so I like to look and see if I can find any markings on these. And here you can see this one's a GM engine, and it's got the fire and order listed there. And looking at the front, you can see the steering wheel says Maxim. And look at all these mussels stuck here. I guess this drought really ruined their happy home also. And there's a look at where the water line is now compared to where this boat was when it used to be underwater. So now we're back on the beach, checking out some of the other stuff down here, and there's a lot of debris to look through, including hazardous stuff like this marine battery that's been sitting down here underwater for the better part of the last decade, leaking out its acid.
All right.
You know what they say, one man's trash is another man's treasure.
There we go.
And as I pull out this brand new looking life vest, I'm reminded of another unfortunate story I wanted to share. You'll recall from the last video, I talked about a couple that was out jet skiing near the Boulder Islands pictured here. The young lady was ejected for whatever reason and didn't resurface. She was reported missing and her body was recovered a short time later. We have nearly the identical story here. Kayaker Drowns in Lake Mead. The National Park Service said the body of a missing kayaker at Lake Mead National Recreation Area was recovered Thursday morning. Witnesses saw the 31-year-old man go underwater about 7 p.m. Wednesday and then summoned park rangers to the area near Scuba Beach, which is located at North Boulder Beach, park officials said. Divers searched the area but suspended their efforts because of severe storms throughout the evening. The search, with the help of Metro, resumed Thursday, and the man's body was found about 11 a.m. The people who called 911 said they saw the man struggle to retrieve an inflatable kayak that had blown away, officials said. And once again also, it was reported that this man was not wearing a life vest. Now we're going to continue up this little hill towards the Boulder Islands area, and I can already see another boat and more debris up here. This whole area is turning out to be the hot spot in the Easter egg hunt. Over near the marinas here and the Boulder Islands and this beach, it's where most of the really interesting stuff, should we say, including the barrels with things in them, were found. And here's some more markings on this boat, NV6278KW. There's an AIS sticker from 2008 also on there. And I don't know much about boats, but this hull looks to be in pretty good shape. Surely it probably still float at least, right? And I was curious, I wanted to see what was underneath, so I tried to flip it, but it was still pretty heavy. I think the motor must be in there. And there's another AIS sticker from 2013. I do like that candy blue paint sparkling in the sun here. And another thing I'm finding a lot of out here is motors. Whether they're chained up to something as an anchor or they just look like they might have fallen out of a boat, they seem to be everywhere out here. And here's an inline 6. And you'll see a buoy on this island here that was warning boaters. And it looks like people used to come out here and have little campfires, but now you can see it's just part of the desert. Here's another motor sitting on the ground in the same exact area. One thing I'm noticing about the lake drying up, it has a specific pattern. It seems to chap like dry skin and then form these thick cracks. And these are about half a foot to a foot down here. And so walking around the same area, I saw debris filled up here. And as I got closer, I could tell there was another boat in the mud. And this looks like another fun boat. Once again, I don't know much about boats, but I can tell you this big V8 and this little tiny boat was probably a whole lot of fun. Maybe that contributed to how they got it stuck here. you'll see it's still got the battery in it and everything. You can tell at some point they tried to fix it too, because there's a lot of rusty tools left in here. And check out this paint job. It reminds me of Wonder Bread. The blue carpet really sets it off. And here's where it rests. Someone definitely put some time and money into building this motor. You can see the bright chrome valve cover still sticking out of the mud. And once again, I wanted to see if I could find any markings on here. And this is about all I could find. It says Offenhauser. And here's yet more big construction tires left here to rot, which they won't ever do. Now I can guarantee you, if you or I came down here with a truckload of tires like this, backed up and dumped it in a park or national recreation area, the man would be on us like white on rice. But I suppose since the government built the docks and marinas, and they're the ones who dumped it here, and they don't feel like picking it up, it's just going to stay here for the rest of eternity. So now we're going to head out of that area, and we're going to try and stick as close to the shoreline as possible. And I'm going to keep exploring these areas where you see the new green growth. That's where the water has recently receded. And in a week or two, it'll no longer look like that as the water continues to recede and all that vegetation will dry up. Almost as soon as I got out and took a look around with my binocs, I spotted these two guys parked up on the hillside together. Now it looked like I might be able to hike out to that area, and it was a peninsula connected here. So I went to take a closer look. As soon as I got out farther on this arm of the peninsula, I noticed that it was indeed an island, so this is going to be a job for the kayak. I'll have to come back soon so that I can explore these two boats. I'm going to name this unofficially Gilligan's Island. And there's a better look at the two boats sitting up there together. Now we're going to head a little bit further down to that green area, and you can see where the water is way in the background. It barely looks like a river now there. And this whole bay area used to be flooded with water. I will be using this in the future also for another before and after. But today, I'm on the hunt for another Easter egg. And as we come around the corner here, you're already going to get a glimpse of what I've been searching for. And you're going to notice this boat has its own high water level mark, as the white tip there for a long time was outside of the water and the rest of the boat was submerged so that boaters could come into this cove and visit it and take pictures. Now, as you can see, this entire bay is empty and the boat is completely out of water. Here's a look at what's left down here. Once a flooded bay, the water has receded to the point where it almost doesn't even enter the bay at all. And this entire area that was underwater is now a grassland for the time being. I really like the duality of this shot here. On one side, you have a man-made lake, and on the other side, you have Mother Nature taking things back. I'm gonna venture back out onto the wasteland here, and this stuff is a lot softer than the last area I was in, so I'm trying to be careful. I've seen this stuff go past knee deep, and you really don't want to get stuck out here, especially in heat. So as I scan this floodplain, I notice there's another boat sitting out here. I really like this one because if you look at the back, it looks like an old Cadillac with the fishtails. And this one has definitely taken some damage, making its way down the wash as the lake has dried up here. But check out that back end. And there you see the other boat sticking up in the background. I'm gonna unofficially name this area Cadillac Ranch. Here's a shot of that boat sitting in a floodplain here, and you can tell since the lake dried up, this has now become a channel for all the floodwaters. Look at the size of those rocks that are being carried by the water when it flows here. So I want you to imagine, if you can for a minute, that you're a flash flood. Headed down the wash, converging with other water streams, gaining momentum, picking up rocks and debris and trash, getting faster and faster till you make your way towards the lake. Thank you for participating. And here I wanted to show you how this ground looks just like the other stuff I was walking on, except here you're going to see a smooth patch. You would think it's good to walk on, but as soon as you put a little pressure on it, bam. That's about thigh deep on me. It is not something you want to get your legs stuck in when you're out here alone, so please be careful as you come out here. And now we headed to another area that I showed you in the first video. This is Hemenway Harbor and Lake Mead Marina, and this is going to be the site of my most anticipated Easter egg hunt. You may have already seen some videos about it, but if not, you're in for a treat. We're going to head generally due east of the marina here, and there's already a path where people have walked to find this. And as you come over the ridge, you get your first sighting of it. And what you're seeing is a World War II era Higgins boat. Now the story is still sort of unclear how it got down here, But from what I understand, it was originally used to survey the lake or river, and then it was bought by a private scuba company and sunk so that they could take guests to see it underwater. But imagine the chances, there aren't many of these left to begin with. Many that were built went on to see gruesome service on beaches like Utah and Omaha, but this one just happened to live out its life as a peaceful survey boat, and now it's just left to decay in Lake Mead. I would hope that it doesn't just sit here like this. Perhaps a veterans organization can arrange pulling it out and restoring it so it can be displayed. Like I said, there aren't too many of these left. To me, this is kind of like a hidden treasure, and I think it's really neat. If you guys are interested in checking it out, come on down here before it's too late. Once again, we'd like to thank everyone for the support. It takes a lot of time and effort to go out into the desert in the heat of the summer and make these videos. We have a lot in the works, so please stay patient, and we'll see you next time. Take care.